how chaotic can it be doing an entire podcast without a plan?
We never really have a plan anyway, and if we do have a plan, it's often just a speck on the horizon by the time we get started. I will have it noted, though, that we have both logged on and started recording with no resets, no faffing, and everything just worked, proving that once again that it is not my computer or internet or your computer or internet that is to blame every week.
No, and there's no delay as well. So, I might actually laugh at your jokes.
Someone has to. No one really does in real time. Amy edits in an extra beat so that the humour lands properly when she puts it together.
Yeah, even then, sometimes it's a little bit. It's like, is he not funny, or or is there just 6 seconds of delay between rural internet and everyday internet?
So, dear listener, you will have guessed from the fact that we're more meaner than normal to Richard Negus. It's because he's not here this week. He is away on a fact-finding trip to Mongolia to learn about their hedge management techniques and tactics. We have received a message from him, so this is a telegram received via shortwave relay, tamped 0417 Greenwich Mean Time, somewhere near the Gobi Desert. To CountrySlide Podcast HQ from Negus Richard, currently in Mongolia. Stop. Stopped for hedge study. Stop. No hedges. Stop. Vast steppes as far as I can see. Stop. Asked local herdsman for advice. He gave me a horse and left. Stop. Attempted to lay shrub with billhook. Accidentally released sacred yak. Stop. Tense diplomatic situation developing. Stop. Surviving on fermented horse milk and regret. Stop. Mr. Blackthorn. Stop. Request extra socks and possibly an ambassador. Stop. Yours in Hawthorne and despair. Stop. R. Negus. So he seems to be doing all right.
Yeah.
It was a bold move, I think, going there. I did get stuck in something the other day of sort of names. You know, this work nicknames thing that you get that are a bit oblique.
I've had to not mention any of mine because they're all, even Patreon subscribers probably would faint.
Well, there's some the best ones are clever, and you can say, or you can say in the open. So I heard someone referred to the other day as mortgage eyes because one was fixed, one's variable.
We had a teacher that had lazy eye, really bad lazy eye, and she didn't have any control over her pupils. So that was always a really good pun. It wasn't a nickname, but one of those great puns.
I used to work with somebody we called Bluetooth because he could only function when paired with somebody.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Decent.
Yeah, there's another one called Dracula because he kept reversing into stuff in the work minibus. So presumably he couldn't see anything when he looked into a mirror.
Yeah.
There's a book in this somewhere, isn't there? Sort of, logging them all in and just definitive list of British workplace nicknames.
We had a guy on a fishing lake, and his skin was just a little bit yellow, like not necessarily jaundice, but near enough. And they just called him Lemon, and he that nickname stuck for him for years. It's just called Lemon. What a terrible, terrible thing to happen. There was some serious nicknames on the fishing lakes.
Some of the really, really good ones, the ones where the person who's having these nicknames thrown at him or her thinks it's actually quite a cool nickname, but has no idea that really it is just everyone else knows. It's sharing a public opinion of someone without hurting their feelings.
We called a guy at school Billy, short for Billy Bullshit, and he didn't know for like years why everybody called him Billy, and he kind of embraced it. And I think one day someone had to let slip, and he was like, "Oh, so you thought of me all these years. I'm like, yeah, because you tell a shed load of lies. You just embellish every story with things that it was a bit like Jay from The In-Betweeners, you know? It was like, yeah.
I've got one more, which was somebody. It was a company I worked with, not for, but somebody was quite proud of their nickname being Broken Arrow. They thought it was really cool. They didn't realize it was because they didn't work and couldn't be fired.
Not like Broken Arrow being like a Native American sort of.
Oh yeah, it was a film as well, isn't it? It's all this. Yeah, it's a call sign, and he thinks it sounds really cool, but yeah.
I got to use a great phrase at the weekend. I was working with my brother-in-law, so I got to say a phrase that has been said to me years ago, which was, working with you is like working alone, but harder. It's just one of them. So good. He made an absolute. Oh God, we made an absolute pig of trying to fit flooring under laminate flooring under door frames. So I ended up having to go and buy a multi-tool and do that because trying to do it with a saw was basically impossible.
Yeah. What else have you been up to then?
A lot of daddy DIY, trying to get my daughter's bedroom in order. Did a cocktail event at Davies. In Greenwich, there's a place called Davies Wine Bar. They're like one of the oldest independent wine places in the UK, I should imagine.
How old are we talking here? Are we talking 80s or 1880s?
1870.
I was close.
Yeah. So it's right by Greenwich.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume that it's sort of like direct from the port, straight up the river. You can be buying port from Porto in Davies. I assume. I didn't have a full history lesson, but yeah,
you didn't expect to have to brief the nation on this, did you?
No, I mean, I can't even say 6 listeners anymore. We got a few, haven't we?
We do have quite a few, yeah. I mean, this is the joke doesn't work when we've got so many patrons now, and they're all in the WhatsApp chat, so they can see how many there are. In fact, there's only about 2/3 of the patrons are in the WhatsApp chat.
I know, but I don't know how smart they are. They might only be able to count to 10. They're anything like me.
So you're at Davies doing cocktail. Were you doing photos?
I did photos and video, and it's all about it's all about those ports again that we've discussed at length. Yeah, they do those blend series of ports, so you can make like I think that we started off a little gin and tonic number, but obviously not gin and tonic. It was the blend number 5. Yeah.
The noise you can hear in the background, listener, is Callum fidgeting massively. Is it the spaniel?
I had a slight inflection in my voice, which means that I have a spaniel that wants to insert itself around my neck and invade any personal space that I have. This is a Neger spaniel as well.
He's inflicted a spaniel on you, hasn't he?
Look at this creature.
And for the audio podcast, that's a spaniel appearing on your screens right now. We really are terrible, aren't we? What else have you been up to? Have you been? It seems like you've been doing lots of editing every time I speak to you.
It's just I've been video editing and editing a very NDA project. But yeah, maybe I should put together a nice little cocktail thing. They made a really interesting tequila one. Do you like tequila?
Not really, but only because I've not explored it. You know, I haven't given tequila its full due.
See, I did do that. I went to a tequila and mezcal festival.
A whole festival?
Yeah.
In the UK?
And we drank... Yes, it was at the Truman Brewery in Shoreditch. And I can confirm that most of them are shit. Don't like tequila that much. So that's that.
Is it tequila, or is it only cool because Americans drink it, so everyone thinks it must be cool?
I'm not sure why they've just they've embraced it.
Well, you've got vodka and rum, which both fit the niche that tequila would fit, of being sort of a cheap shot,
Yeah,
and they're
I
better.
don't know why they. Yeah, agreed.
You're listening to Britain's premier rural podcast. You can drink tequila in a field, I'm sure.
The tequila cocktail
Mm.
that was made, you get the Graham's 12. So that's so the one that you do as like a gin and tonic is the blend number 5. And the blend number 5 is very nice, botanical. You'd absolutely love it. I need to get you some. But yeah, the blend number 12 is a ruby version. It's a blended port, like a ruby port. And it's got a very nice sweet berry kind of flavour to it. So they take that, they put 50ml shot of that. Then there's a half shot of tequila.
Mm.
And then you get a little bit of, so it's a half shot of lime juice, or maybe even a bit less than that, quite a bit. And then some orange juice. So you're getting lots of acidity.
Ooh, lime
in
and
there.
orange. Not sure.
Yeah, you'd think so, but you're balancing tequila and port. So like,
Yeah, I suppose.
you're kind of, you're battling against some big heavy flavors. And then you put a good spoon of the sugar syrup into that, just to give it a bit of sweetness. And it's kind of like it's like a tequila cocktail / a sangria sort of thing. And it's not that heavy in terms of alcohol. And then rim it with a lime, and then bang a lime in as well, because it's delicious.
Seems like a lime heavy thing. It does sound quite good though.
We'll have to make one.
We will. We'd have to experiment with flavors, which is what I'm doing this week, really. Oh, it's not really experimentation. It's stuff I've done before, but I'm doing my wild food job this week.
Do you know what I was going to ask you as well? Because I started to see the first blackberries coming onto the tree, which I feels frightfully early for blackberries, but I
Depends where
started to
you
see
are.
a few.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's time after pollinated flower, dependent on how much moisture there has been. So you can get very early blackberries because you got very early flowers.
So is this set of recent rain, is that going to kill it, or is that going to make it better?
It's going to vary year to year, but the flavour of the blackberry is going to come as much from the soil and what's there and as anything else. So you will get smaller ones with more flavour in drier periods, and sort of bigger, less flavourful, more bland flavours when you get a lot of rain. But often depends what stage you are when you pick them as well. Because if you get them just as they're starting to turn soft, I think they're often better than the ones that squidge apart when you pick them. But there are so many sub varieties of blackberry as well, and the bramble, that so much so that brambles are used in something called forensic botany. So forensic botany is using plants to give indications of crime and things like that. And there are certain, if you dig up a small corner of a field, say 6 foot long and about 2.5 or 3 foot wide, where there are brambles there, and turn the soil over because you've buried something body shaped, you'll get a different patch of brambles in that area because they'll come up from the disturbed soil. So a different species will come in, and they prefer to be in newly turned soil, but they'll grow up very, very quickly. So it's a good way of finding grave sites or proving that this grave site was dug up so long ago.
So you can tell from so how does a new bramble species just suddenly crop up?
Well, there's lots of stuff in the soil that just is there that isn't doing anything because it can't get the light to the soil or the temperature won't rise. So you get this in woodlands. You get this in sort of ancient woodland sites that have had plantations of conifers and things put on top of them. They've grown up over the last 30 years and shaded everything out. If you cut down some of those conifers and let light into the forest floor, you'll get bluebells and things coming up where there haven't been for the last 20 or so years, because you've got the temperature of the soil has changed. So they
were just there,
dormant in the ground. Yeah. So even without new seeds falling, if you change the light levels or you change how much moisture can get into the soil, or you break through the top layer of soil, you'll make stuff in the soil come up that wasn't visible before. There's so much
Fascinating.
going on in soil that's dormant. Yeah.
This is we've had lengthy discussions about this ragwort thing, and as much as I'd like to get a Ghostbusters-esque jetpack on and spray weed killer over everything, there's also just an unbelievable amount of wildflowers in that place that I just don't want to don't want to piss around with. We've got like bee orchids and all sorts of stuff. I do the Google Lens. If you've never done that before, actually, you can now use Chatty Cathy to crack that on as well if you want to. But take a picture of something. If you have an Android, I think you can download it on an iPhone as well. And then just use Google Lens. So it's just you just press the three dots and then press Google Lens, and it will search Google Images for similar items, and you can like draw a little circle around exactly where the flower, and then it usually a lot of times it pulls stuff from like Wikipedia and gives you some random Latin name that you'll never work out, but usually a few scrolls down you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a bird's foot trefoil, that's whatever else it is. So you can ID flowers using an app.
It's one of those things that it works really well for most use cases, but the times when you really need to know, is it this one or this one, it doesn't work as well, because if it's something that's commonly misidentified because it looks closely like something else, it might lead you in the wrong direction. But if you stop at the level of it's one of these 3 or 4, it's pretty accurate for that. The Samsung AI is quite good for it as well. So much so that the image recognition on these things is getting a bit scary. So I saw one the other day with a friend that he'd lost his contact lens on the floor. So he took a photo of the floor at his feet and said, find the contact lens. And it came back with, it's there.
No.
Yeah, he spotted it in the image for him on his like laminate kitchen floor.
That is madness.
So, yeah, I mean, we can't talk about, we can talk in the after show about some other stuff that I do for work that is related to this, that's not wild food.
Oh, can I say one of them? There's an app called Pim Eyes. Have you seen that?
Pim Eyes?
I think it's called Pim Eyes. I might have just made that up. Yeah, no, it's called Pim Eyes. Face search engine reverse image search. Right? So you go on, you upload a picture of somebody's face and it will scour the entire internet for pictures of that person and identify them via all of their social accounts. So if you were to get a video of just a random person, you could probably find out who they were quite quickly. I took pictures of myself to test it, and there was like pictures of me at award ceremonies and events and stuff that I didn't even know existed on the internet. And I was tagged and I was in the background of stuff online that nobody had ever told me existed.
Oh, because it didn't have your name on it. It wouldn't come up with a text search.
Just found me.
Oh, I'm doing that after this.
Oh, it's really quite scary.
Okay, well, when we have trail camera photos then of people breaking into the woods or doing things they shouldn't be, I'll use that next time, because currently I use a system called Andy. So I just send a photo of that person to my mate Andy, and within 30 minutes or so, he's got a name for me of who that person is based on his local contacts, should we say.
It's not Barry Manilow, is it?
It's not Barry Manilow.
No, that's Mandy, isn't it? Never mind.
Well, Andy has got long hair, so...
oh, Mandy.
Yeah.
You came and you found the trespasser.
That's twice we've got Barry Manilow on this podcast.
Is he coming on? He's coming on as a guest next week, isn't he?
Is he dead?
I don't think so.
Is Barry
I think
Manilow
he's like
dead?
one of those...
Right, don't look in the podcast. Listener, you can look now and see if Barry Manilow is dead or alive and tell us on social media.
No, I'm fairly sure he's still alive. He's probably still touring in Las Vegas.
Can you tour in Las Vegas?
He's like one of those. He's like one of those lizard people that never die. That he's probably one of the Illuminati. I forgot.
Can I tell you?
We shouldn't say random conspiracy stuff like that. We need to say finance. We need to say crypto.
Finance, crypto, mortgage
we need to
advice,
say
business.
Bitcoin,
Yeah.
finance, luxury brands, and wealth management is so important to me.
Yeah, all of these are keywords that help us go up in the podcast ratings because the AI listens to these words and assumes that we're a business podcast, Britain's best business podcast, business advice podcast. I think that'll do it.
Do you know what I was going to say? I was going to say that the Patreon's got a really special bit where they got a readout of Richard Negus in the style of an Essex Barrow Boy audio, the closest thing that currently exists of an audio book of Words from the Hedge.
Mm-hmm.
And I got several messages of how good it was.
Yes.
And you can get that and all the backdated content in Patreon. £3 a month, which is basically all we're worth. And you can get maybe a belly laugh or two every week delivered to you in the extra show, which is what Patreon get. And you get to go to the special WhatsApp chat where you can have a talk with all of us. And it's like nice Twitter because now everybody's getting along and everybody knows each other. And we've even got puppies. We've got puppies.
We've got screaming llamas on there. We've got a career advice. We've had legal advice last week, which wasn't expected.
It's not. They're not llamas.
What are they?
They're alpacas.
Same thing.
We've discussed this.
They're the same thing.
They're not the same thing.
They're long-necked and woolly.
I know, but I mean, I was trying to think something else that's long-necked and woolly. It's quite a weird animal, really, isn't it? Like to have a long neck and be woolly.
Yeah, so
seems like the woolliness you'd think would be like to retain heat, and then to get your neck away from it. That sounds like kind of counterintuitive, isn't it?
I think it's just proof that there is a God and he has a sense of humour, really. How did we end up here?
I don't know.
So can I tell you what I was doing this week, what I am doing this week? Because by the time people listen to this, will have already done it.
Go on then. I'll let you.
You sound so excited about it. I don't know if I want to now.
Can you also tell us about all the stuff you did in all the previous weeks that you never got to say? Because I'll take my headphones off and go downstairs if you want.
You awful, awful man. No, listen to my stories.
Please tell us.
Tell us, sir. Tell us your stories.
Tell us about the mushrooms.
I'm not doing mushrooms. I'm doing venison this week. So I thought you'd like this anyway. I've built a smoker.
Oh, I do like this. This is relevant to my interests.
This is relevant to your interests. So on Thursday, it's one of several events where we're inviting chefs over to somewhere in North Wales. So these are chefs from a local sort of, not chain, but they've got several restaurants, like a barbecue and smokery place, and they're coming into the woods to do outdoor cooking, butchery. We're going to do some target shooting. Going to be cooking over open fires, fire management, all that kind of thing. So we're going to be in the woods for a day, but as part of it, we've rebuilt or built on top of our existing hot smoker a brand new one made entirely from scraps that we had lying around the farmyard.
So. Talk me, what's the setup? There's like a heat, but you got to have what you're smoking with.
There's an old log burner that is sort of, we had to half weld back together, but that's off to one side. So that's going to have alder wood on it. So ALDER, not elder, as in elderberry, but alder, as in they used to make gunpowder from it.
I thought you said older woods in like one that's just been seasoned for 4 years instead of doing.
Oh, that was mysterious option 3 I hadn't even considered.
Okay. So I'm glad you cleared it up.
So alder wood, we're going to burning that, and that goes up a short chimney into a flexible pipe, and that goes into the bottom. I'm doing the hand movements as well, so no one can see that. It goes into the bottom.
It looks like a doggy paddling.
Of a big wooden box. So the wooden box, the walls are 2 inches thick to retain the heat, and then it's got it's all fresh milled from something called Western hemlock spruce. So it's a spruce, it's a softwood, but it's pretty stable and it dries out quite quickly. So we're using that because you want this thing to be as dry as possible. And then there's a big door on the front with a thermometer set into it and a wriggly tin roof. But it's all made so that everything inside there is food safe, because we have to be very careful about that. You can't use galvanized steel in there because there's a potential it might off gas into the food and might taint it. You can't use certain woods.
I've got a story about that, but remind me in a minute. Go on.
It's like the welder's kebab.
I once did a barbecue on a turned over shopping trolley.
Yep, nice.
Didn't taste great. I'm not going to lie. Didn't realise that the metal of a turned over shopping trolley it tastes very toxic. But we tried. It looked like a grill, didn't it?
Were you like a hobo living under a bridge at the time?
I mean, have you been? I need to take you to Harlow. You'll understand.
Go on Harlow Safari.
Yeah, it's like Bear Grylls' Urban Survivor. You take your stab vest.
Right, I'll take you into the mountains and I'll go to Harlow.
Actually, do you know what? I could take you to. I went to Luton the other day.
Is that better or worse than Harlow?
Worse.
Is it?
Worse, yeah, way worse. Yeah, it's not. Honestly, I think I put it in the group chat. There was a fox that was foraging KFC in the car park and burying it for later. Got real close for some wildlife, urban wildlife.
Nice. Yeah. So
pull it up. My selector rewind. You've all got to be food safe in this thing.
Yeah.
Concern is spruce. I know that softwoods. I once tried to smoke, not realizing how toxic softwood was. So I put some softwood on a smoker, and you see that all the creosote and odd nasty things come out of the softwood.
Yeah, you get this. Yeah, you get all sorts of residues coming off it. No, it's the difference between the wood burning and it just being a box that it's being held in.
Right. Okay. So
so it's the box itself doesn't really get above 50 degrees, 60 degrees. So the smoke coming into it is coming from a very specific source, but the box itself is not going to burn or leach anything into it. But with the metals that we use in there, we have to be careful. And
what if it's go cast iron and whatnot?
Oh, just normal steel. Just normal steel can be in there. And stainless is okay to a point. It's not like you're welding or anything like that, where you have to be aware of the gases that are coming off things. But galvanized steel was the thing. We're talking about level.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
chrome is horrendous as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So we had to be very careful about that. And then we've got a few other things in there. I'll send you some photos. We're under this big army parachute or ex-army parachute from the 1960s. That is about 40-foot diameter, and you hang that from a tree. And even though it's not waterproof, when you've got a fire going underneath it, the heat from the fire sort of inflates the parachute, and it can be raining quite heavily, but the rain will evaporate pretty much as soon as it hits the parachute. So the rain never gets through into below. So you've got this huge tarp canopied area that you can all be in and work under, even if it's raining, which, as it's Wales, it's likely to do at some point.
Yeah, had a lot of rain here the last couple of days. Have you noticed this weather? This weather is absolutely mental.
It is a weird one. It's been quite cold last few days.
We've had loads of trees keep falling down, like all over the shop. It's just dried out pre-rain. It's dried out to such a point that trees are going down over the road, across on the top of the field. Barely any wind, and the trees just seem to be falling down the front and centre. It's really strange.
In one of the woodlands we manage, we lose more trees in the rain than we do in the wind. We lose a few big trees in the wind, but the little trees come down when in the heavy rain. And it's just the soil loosens up and decompresses, and then the roots have got more room to move around, and it doesn't take much to knock them over.
Round our way, we've got some of the strangest soil, because we've got lots of clay, but we also have loads of chalk. That's why we've got such good river systems because there's lots of chalk underneath, and there's lots of underground aquifers around this way. And it also is the reason we have lots of sinkholes. We have more sinkholes around this way than a lot of places in the world.
Yes, we've got a lot of clay. So in the valley here, we're clay and sand. So clay, most of it, and the sand on one side. And the sand is in a layer. So if you go far enough up the hill, it suddenly becomes sand. But underneath it all is limestone. So it's the same limestone here in northeast Wales that you get in sort of Buxton, the Peat district, and it goes in this big limestone bed underneath the Cheshire Plain and comes back out in the Peat district. And there are all these stories that there are cave networks that link, that you can drop down from Wales, and eventually there are systems that come back out again in the Peat district.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a pub at a place called Mice Haven, just on the other side of the hills, and there was a Miners' Arms there, and the mines that were underneath it that ran through it had signs on it in the mines saying you are now directly beneath the Miners' Arms, and so like underneath different so you could go round between all these places, and they were
you could pulley up for a pint.
Nearly, yeah.
That'd be fun.
I like mines. I don't like caves. I'm not built for caves. I'm just not. I'm not a squeezy person. I don't squeeze through gaps.
You just reminded me of that. What's his name? Bob Mortimer song of slender people fit through slender gaps. I'll send you it.
Thank you. Is that just like soft bullying or?
No, it's just a bop.
It's a bop.
As the kids say.
It's a bop.
Yeah, it's a bop.
Do the kids say that now?
I don't know what the kids say. I was with loads of young people the other day, and I don't know. I know that jorts are in, really sort of below the knee fitting jorts for men. So that's a thing.
Well, this is boring and no one wants to hear this, but something we can talk about is the complete collapse of society, if you want to.
Which one?
Just generally.
Was that a news item? Was that on the docket?
No.
Did you send me a link? Because I don't read them anyway.
No, you don't. You are impossible to manage. No, this is the.
It's not the first time I've heard that. You know that.
I did have a client once that said he used to look at me in horror at the thought of having to employ me at some point, because I was quite useful to him as a contractor, but as an employee, I'd be a nightmare.
Yeah. The thought of giving the best hours of my day to my employer is just awful.
You're just going to waste those hours anyway, though.
No, honestly, I don't. I actually, genuinely, I don't. Like, it might be like 12 o'clock. You know, I'll sit and play in the sandpit with my daughter for an hour while I try and make phone calls or something. And you know, I'm usually, if I'm making a phone call, I'm doing someone else a favour, so they can deal with if my kid wants to scream hiya, hiya, hiya down the phone to them. They can deal with that. That's fine. I'm usually doing someone else a favour, so you know, it is what it is. I think I told you this. I did a week photographing for a fishing company in a studio in Brentwood, and I had to do the M25, which is a 20-minute journey, which took nearly an hour because everybody else was on that same road.
They're all trying to do the 20-minute journey at the same time.
Yes, so I feel like they've basically stolen 40 minutes of my life each way.
Yeah.
I know that's not rational thinking, but I also feel like, you know, I need to be there as well as you lot. And you, I know you're not in traffic, you are the traffic. And I am fully aware of that, but it still doesn't mean that it made it significantly more difficult for me. And I don't know, hats off to anybody that's got a job, a real jobby job. It's
that's most of our audience.
Yeah, but it's just
probably someone sat in traffic now who's just slightly more
to their
depressed.
jobby job.
Yeah,
and it's like 30 minutes, and they're doing this. But you know,
okay. So my reason for bringing this up, I'm trying to just scrape through this and into the topic. I had an email today saying, we've cancelled your insurance policy and you'll be receiving a refund for your payment. Well, I didn't want to cancel it. Can I have my insurance, please? So I rang them. Actually, no, I went onto the AI chat first and then it didn't work
Ugh.
because it says, it looks like you want to cancel your policy. No, I don't want to cancel my bloody policy. Send me to a human. So I rang them and was on hold 15 minutes. And then I got hold of Hamid or whatever his name was. And he was saying, yes, well, we've cancelled your policy because we couldn't take payment. Right, but you said you're refunding me. Yes, we're refunding you what you've paid. But why are you cancelling it? Because we couldn't take payment. And he couldn't get it through. It's like, you've taken money, but you said you're refunding, but you've cancelled the policy because we couldn't take money? Which one is it? Yes, well, we've taken the money, but we couldn't have the details to take the money from you. But you've taken the money. Yes, but we'll refund you. All after a lot of arguing, at which point I took particular pride in getting him to admit, yes, this is stupid. Which I always like to when I even get someone from customer service
Can you just
to
say the words?
Yeah, say this is all stupid. Thank you. It's because, particularly since COVID, but over definitely the last 10 years, there's been a real drive to reduce costs, not by outsourcing to other countries, but as it is now, to rely on IT and then now AI-driven systems in order to make the world work. So often the first thing you're interacting with on a chat now is an AI rather than a couple of quick questions that normally got you into a queue to be speaking to a real human at some point. The problem is that
so bad.
These things don't work properly yet, or they're very poorly implemented if they could work, or they're not maintained, or they haven't been given the right data. And we talk about AI a lot on this show for some reason, but we do. But it can be used for useful things, but it is generally not. It's only as good as a person using it and what they're using it for. The problem is that the people implementing it don't care whether that system does a good job. They only care that it saved money or reduced the time it takes to do something or something like that. And that they get to say, look, we've implemented this shiny new system. So the other thing that made me think about this was over the last few days at the end of Groundswell and then a few other announcements, DEFRA have announced what will be happening with the SFI, Sustainable Farming Initiative, and the people being able to reapply for the grants. They've now said, well, it's only going to be certain people, and if you were halfway through an application, then you come to this, and it's quite a complicated thing.
Yeah, I did see that. If you'd put the application in at a certain time period, that you could finish the application for what is that?
It's that, but only again with certain other prerequisites, and you have to have exactly 3 cousins, none of which are married, and you had to have played in this position at school in the rugby team, and there's all these prerequisites to it. This you could find
on the 5th Thursday of every month.
Yeah, exactly. You can find this replicated in lots of other government systems, and there are only 2 public-facing government systems that actually work. There's a DVLA that it works really well.
Yeah, it does work. Yeah,
and the Passport Office.
Yeah, a bit slow, but it does work.
It does work, considering how complex that is and getting identity and stuff like that. That works really well. They're 2 things that work. Everything else is pretty crap, and it's getting worse. So there was, I'm not going to go through it all now, but I'm going to link out to it in the show notes. And there's a really good series of threads on X and articles written by Kat Frampton, who spotted it quite early on. There's the DEFRA peat map, AI-driven peat map. So peat mapping, showing where the peat soils are in the UK. And it's crap. It's like showing complete bare rock as peat and showing these long, thin lines of peat going across Dartmoor, which turn out to be stone walls and stuff like that, because it was AI analysis that presumably someone looked at for a little bit and then went, yeah, that's good enough, and implemented it. And then there was a big press release. And now no one wants to admit it's crap.
Yeah, that is the trouble. I mean, this stuff is good, but as long as it's used and double checked, I mean, Yeah, there's quite a few. I really wanted to create a nice spice blend I was going to give to our Patreon subscribers, which you can subscribe to at countryslide.com/support. So I was planning on giving them a spice mix that I wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a company called Fox's Spices. They're a really, really old company that they don't have barely anything. I managed to get a PDF catalogue from their website of all of their spices and powders and stuff like that. And it's quite extensive and probably outside of my knowledge. So I wanted things like, I know that vinegar powders are really good. They add all the seasonings that I make. I always find that vinegar powders, lots of different peppercorns. If you get multiple peppercorns, black peppercorn's great, obviously. But there's different ones. You get a little tingly thing out of a Szechuan peppercorn. Pink peppercorns, you've got a different one. Greens. I'm not going to list all of the peppercorns, but I mean, I could actually. How long we got?
No, we're trying to talk about rural matters.
All right, okay. Well, there's fried shrimp, sauté shrimp gumbo.
How many types of peppercorn are there, Callum?
I don't know. I'd have to ask Chatty Cathy, but there's a lot anyway. So I put this whole thing into AI, and I said, "Look, just give me a rundown of what things would add umami, the vinegar powders, what sections of what costings would look like for mushroom powders, because the catalogue had different. On a side note, Game Glutton. When I spoke to Game Glutton about mushroom powders, he dehydrates his own and puts them in basically everything. So I will probably be doing that. But yeah, looked at all this stuff. And then AI decided that it was not going to, it used the title of the PDF and nothing more. It didn't read any of the document. It said, this looks like a comprehensive catalogue of countryside gifts. And I was like, no, it's a spice catalogue. It's like, oh yeah, you're correct. They have a great range of socks and clothing. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Are you okay, hun? In the end, I end up talking to it like it's a child. And then I was like, can you point me to where you went wrong in this? And I basically had a row with, I basically gentle parented ChatGPT until it read the catalogue correctly. And then I was like, do you know what? I just went all like when you get those passive aggressive women. Do you know what? I'm fine. I don't want anything now. And then I just left it because I couldn't be asked with having a row with ChatGPT. But it did not read any of the stuff, even though it said to me that it had read everything, and it didn't. And this is the thing where people are going to get unstuck, because people are going to go in, they're going to put quite complex data, and it's going to be doing stuff like we do, like sneaking off to make a flat white in the middle of an edit, and not telling you what's going on. It's not going to give you an answer. The fact that it just was like, yeah, I didn't really understand what all the rocks were in this thing, so I just marked them up as Peat. I hope that's all right.
Yeah. So people say, and people have this thing about, AI is going to take over the world, and it's going to take all of our jobs, and it's going to lead to mass unemployment. That's not the bit I'm worried about. I mean, that probably is true, but that's not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is the interim period where we are increasingly told you must live your life via these really quite complex digital systems in order to do anything. But it'd be so easy because it's all digital and there's no paper, and it won't rely on people, and it'll all be on a database, and it'll all be on a system, and you'll be able to access your things wherever you are in the world. Kind of how like banking has gone and things like that you can't pay for anything now or change anything in your account without getting a text or going into the app or using the stupid thing that looks like a calculator. You can't.
Oh, that's so bad, them things.
It's going to be like that, but across everything. The problem is that at no point has the government or private companies or agencies or any of these other places, with the exception of the DVLA and the Passport Office, been able to come up with a back end that matches that promise of like digital ease. This has been particularly true for things like the Rural Payments Agency and anyone trying to get the farm payments through on a system that you are told you have to go through. It just doesn't work. And then you're sat on the phone for them for a long time, and their system doesn't work in the same way that they have promised it will work. And then they haven't got the right staff to be able to staff it and to be able to answer the phone. That problem really hasn't recovered properly since lockdown. You can find that in most other things, that when you're working on on the land, whether it's farming, forestry, land management, whatever it is, you have to do something at a certain time of year. You can't say, well, I'll just wait until July and then I'll do the tree planting then, because the trees won't die. You can't plant them then, they'll die. But everything has to happen at a certain time of year, and you can't wait till next year because that'll be after the project's done. The problem is that none of the digital systems actually have the resilience or the capacity to do what is promised. So you've got...
But it's the trouble with that it's all nuanced, right? Like there's so much nuance to each farm's different, each application's different, or have I got the wrong idea there?
Depends what it is, though, because the huge complexity of the system, it was designed to match the difference in landscape. And this crop has this code, and then this is this habitat area, and this has this habitat area, which is fine. But make sure that if you are requiring people to work in this system of complexity, your system actually backs it up. So if you're going to make it really complicated for farmers, that's fine. Make sure your system is robust and resilient, and the data you're making people make decisions from is accurate. Otherwise, if you aren't going to be able to do that, then you can't make it a very complex system, because the data you're going from isn't going to be accurate enough.
Yeah. They've got to tally up. You've got to have like a good. It's like building a website, isn't it? You got to have a good front end, but you've got to have a good user experience as well, and they've got to tally up. Like when a user goes on, they've got to feel like they're actually getting somewhere with what their application looks like. They've got to put all of these things together in an appropriate way that they understand, and then you can decipher what they're actually asking for.
Yeah, and that account...
And AI isn't it.
No, it's not it, but it's also being used by, not to single out any particular agency, but just generally civil service or large corporations, similar problem. Sort of low accountability, that at the end of the day, people aren't working to make sure they do the bestest job that they could possibly do. They're working because they're getting paid the amount they're getting paid. They're getting paid for doing those hours, and they're going to go home again. Or in most cases, close the laptop and turn the VPN off and just go back to their daily lives and go back to the stuff that's not being stolen from them, as you said earlier. So, but no,
what's left of it?
So you've got businesses and organizations that have low accountability, relying on systems which, when it comes to AI, have zero accountability. As you sort of, even with your weird spice catalog example, the system doesn't have a moral imperative to do a good job, does it? It's only as good as the people working it and the people programming it and the people putting the input in there. So it's waiting while Callum plugs his earphones back in.
I unwired myself. You could have said anything there.
I could have said anything. But these systems are only as good as the humans in the chain, and the humans don't really care about it anymore in the same way. So
So how do we fix it?
Stop relying on massively complicated systems, and stop saying, well, the only way this will work is if we build this really complicated system, and we're building it for you. Yeah.
And then people don't support it.
Well,
so are we getting money through from government based on these grants?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. The biggest problem is that people cannot plan ahead, and you can't plan on a short-term news cycle level for landscapes and nature. You have to plan years in advance,
Yeah.
and people aren't being allowed to.
Yeah, it's. I don't think. I think well, we've discussed it at length. Nature's on priority list like 6, not anywhere close to the top whack, and things like defence has now been bumped up to priority number 1, and nature just seems to drop slowly off. So yeah, it's interesting. I always have this idea that greenwashing's pretty bad. People find it quite distasteful, but I kind of like the idea of getting private companies, regardless of what they do, and just taking big lumps of their cash and using it for positive good in nature. I think that's a step that probably needs to ramp up massively in the next few years.
Well, the idea that the government has to pay for everything came about mostly after the Second World War.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Why? And also the tax.
I don't want to have to explain neoliberalism in the 2 minutes that we've got.
I know. The tax. I was looking at the billionaire. When you think about your tax money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got 2 kids that will be in school.
And I resent paying for them. Yes.
And well, everybody's paying for them. I mean, I earn a reasonable amount. I pay a reasonable amount in tax. I don't have a disillusion that the money that is spent on the education of my children probably vastly outstrips the amount of money I pay in tax. Like, it costs a lot of money to the tax system. So I'm probably not a tax positive member of society. So you still need the people that are on their 500 grand a year bonuses and salaries to pay a big lump of tax to support even me, who is not a terrible earner, but not huge.
That £3.50 you earn every year really does. It goes to good use.
I mean, maybe I should stop drinking flat whites and get a real job, but,
It's your avocado toast, isn't it?
I know. That's what Katie Hopkins told me. It was the avocado toast and my addiction to Pret. That's why I don't got a house. Anyway,
back in the room.
So yeah, that basically, those people paying tax that are far above me that end up actually paying for most of the shit that I consume and the healthcare that I have. I think people that are earning, families that are earning around 100 grand or something in a year, they might be potentially paying more money into the system than they're taking out. But anyone less, which is a huge amount of people, are actually probably not tax positive. Probably taking more out of the system than they're putting in. So you need these people that are very wealthy, and seeing that a chunk of billionaires have recently left the UK, and quite a lot of millionaires, the most amount of millionaires that have ever left in 2024, mostly to go to like UAE and all those countries where they don't pay any tax. It's pretty important that we look to funding from people outside of the government. We shouldn't rely on the government. The government's job isn't to say yes to everything, it's to say no to pretty much everything and yes to a few things. And that's why it's shit to be a politician, because their job really is to say no, 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 no. We've got a bit of money for that.
To a degree, but then there is always money for other things. It's difficult to look at from the outside and go, well, there's always money for that. You know, there's
Yeah.
always money for this. There's always for, and as we
There's
do,
always money for war.
there's always money for war, but there's always money for things in your voter base, as Labour found out last week. That, you know, you could say, right, this is a really serious problem with welfare and spending that we need to solve this year. So we need to make sure we do these. If Labour are saying, and I would say I'm politically agnostic, I'm not Tory, not Labour, not Reform, not anything at the moment. But if Labour are saying we need to make these cuts, and the backbench revolts because they know that their local voters are going to kick them out because of making those cuts, those MPs, then you know that system can't be fixed. If you say that you need to make cuts to fix the system, then, and those cuts aren't able to be made because they'll be unpopular or, you know, actually ruin people's lives in some cases, then that can't move forward. But then what does move forward? Because at the end of the day, the books do have to be balanced to a point.
Yeah.
And
Can't say yes to everything.
You can't say yes to everything, but in which case, if you are saying no to stuff, where is the money going? Because we're at a higher, the tax burden we're under is spectacularly high.
Yeah.
And when you chase every single one of these things down, like, okay, where on my energy bill, what percentage goes to here, what percentage goes to there? On my fuel bill, on, you know, the fuel that goes into the car or the truck, where does that go? On my income tax, where does that go? My national insurance, where does that go? This net benefit thing, I mean, in a rural area, generally you're getting much less than you'll be getting in the town there per person.
Yeah, I suppose you would.
Because it's per capita spending rather than per area. So if you live in a sparsely populated area, then in order to get your tax benefits, you have to go to where the people are.
Yeah,
but it
I
costs
suppose
you the same.
More people is like economies of scale, isn't it? So that's how that works as well.
Yeah, but the way that taxes work, we've ended up in a weird place. The way that taxes work since the Second World War is a very different model to what came before. And welfare spending. So the NHS, if you look at the original way it was set up, was not intended to last forever. It was intended to take care of people post Second World War as a sort of a homes fit for heroes kind of thing. If you come back from the war and this is what you get. So the NHS as a setup then was not intended to carry on forever, and the state pension not in the same way. It wasn't designed as a system to keep going forever, and every politician since has been just passing the buck further and further along.
Yeah.
So that we have ended up with this almost unsolvable problem, and at some point there'll be a record screech and the needle stops and we'll find out what happens. And hopefully it's not when the country goes bankrupt like Greece and the IMF comes in and says, right, well, this is your budget now and this is what you're allowed to spend it on.
And we'll all be buying dog coins.
Well, I need my hot smoker in the woods, won't I?
Yeah. I might venture that way, you know. It depends. How long is it going to take me to walk there?
Quite a long way, right. If you've been thoroughly depressed by this episode, then you can be cheered up in our patron segment where we're going to talk about some very silly things.
We always talk about silly things. If you want the real silliness and you don't want taxation systems.
Which was weird.
Which was weird. Welcome to the CountrySlide podcast. We never really know what's happening, but we have a rough idea. But sometimes we just let vibes take us. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks, everyone.